How we doing, guys? Hope everyone's good. Hope everyone's had a good week. Been a pretty good week in the gold standard this week, to be fair. It was actually absolutely popping, actually. I had a ton of messages this week. People are doing really, really well with it. Where was I going to start? Homework. So, how did everyone get on with the homework? Everyone hear me okay? I need to get the chat up and running. Where's my bloody... Yeah, evenly. Yeah, everyone hear me okay? Cool. Oh, so we are in week two of our 4 week program here. Um, and so obviously I sent you guys some homework last week, and this was it. Just to be trying to write these things down every day, just moving forward. And it's not a bad habit to get into at all. Doing it daily, ongoing. It's kind of the start of like a journaling kind of journey, basically. Starting to actually sort of document, diary, just your trades, your emotions, everything. Like it's a really like I did it religiously for 18 months, and I owe a lot to that, like a real lot to that. You can just mute your chats, guys, so I don't have to go through all of them. Um, so yeah, really, really important just to get pen to paper, realistically. I feel like for a lot of people that's a completely natural thing. Like we just do it. People get on with it and they do it and they write their stuff down. But for a lot of us, it's not a natural thing. Like my ego always used to get in the way. My pride, I used to sort of say, no, I don't need to do that, don't need to do that, don't need to do that. Even though I've been told it so many times, journal your stuff, journal your stuff, journal your stuff. And I just didn't. I just didn't for so long. And I got so fed up with things. And I was just like, you know what? What's it going to hurt? And I started doing it, and it just gave me data. I started to be able to find like problems amongst my trading that I wasn't even noticing, that I was actually just like tossing away because I didn't have any record of it. How many times are you sort of jumping into a trade that's maybe not there, or like a signal that hasn't been given, or whatever, or moving the trading plan, and then the trade goes your way or it doesn't go your way, and then it's gone. It's gone. Realistically, you've got no record of it ever happening. You've got nothing to learn from. You've got nothing to actually make some progress and not do that again. It's all just up here otherwise. And otherwise, it's a real lot of mental information for you to take on board to actually try and do it just all in your head. Um, so I'm just going to get people to put it in the chat if you could. So everyone that's been doing the homework this week, fill up the chat right now with what is your reason for trading. Start putting some things in there, and I'll read a few of them out. Why can't I make my chat bigger? Ah, there we go. Trading in the Zone book is very good. Yeah, the audiobook, that's what I've listened to 4 times, Trading in the Zone. Yeah, very, very good book. Seem to sort of learn something every time from it, to be honest. Um, Extra income, fantastic. Being able to stay at home with my kids while contributing to the household. Yeah, that's a fantastic one, Kyla. Support my family while in kidney failure. For my pension, so I can retire off the tools. To learn something new and hopefully make a little bit of extra pocket money. To earn more money on my wages. Time freedom, financial stability eventually, be able to ride my horses more, just another income for some extra spend, support with bills, and help kids with their activities. Still less fucking overtime. Yeah. See, it's always going to be like there's always going to be quite similar things there. It's all obviously trading is very money orientated, but we have a lot of other things that come off of that. Whether it's health problems, spending more time with the kids, more time with horses, all of these things come from money. People say that like, that age old thing my dad used to tell me, money doesn't buy happiness. Well, I'm sorry, it fucking helps, like it's one of those kind of catalysts you kind of need for all those other little things. I want to stop working end of the summer, close down my company. Yeah, fantastic. That's what I did in the end. My real reason isn't just money, it's freedom, time, location, spending something I can travel with, escaping the 9 to 5, being present for my family, becoming someone that's in control of his life. Fantastic. Hello, Dylan. No, that's it. That's exactly like they're all very similar sort of reasons, all kind of branching around money, but obviously money just helps a lot of other situations, doesn't it? Whether it's a little bit of extra money, whether it's your long-term plan of actually sort of packing up work, closing down a company, stop doing those 60, 70, 80-hour weeks, spending more time with the kids. Like it's not really plausible. Like the whole argument of just work harder, just work longer. Like it doesn't really sit anymore. Like we're not in a time of that. Like maybe 10 years ago when money was decent and like, if I had a site manager position, that was a job that you could quite happily go on 2 holidays a year. You could have 2 cars. You could be, own a home with a mortgage. You could, you know, your partner wouldn't have to work. Like that was kind of the world, 10, 15 years ago we used to live in. And, pre-COVID and the changes that have happened since then and leaving the EU and all the other things that have come with it, we're in just an impossible time now. I know a lot of younger lads that are, 20s to 30s that are, what used to be classed as like top money on sites and stuff. And they're living paycheck to paycheck. The people can't get money saved away unless you're literally, busting your people are doing overtime just to afford the little things like a van going wrong or, an unexpected bill or whatever. So yeah, it all does revolve around money. Right. Where do you want to be in 1 year from now? I know that obviously ties in with a bit of the stuff that you've just said, but has anyone got anything else to add to that? Where do you want to be in a year from now? I know myself, like I said, we're moving to Spain as of September, possibly slightly earlier. So I'm going to be in the sun in a nice apartment or villa somewhere and just chilling, spending time with my kids. Have a 50K account, yes. In a house that doesn't grow mold every winter with more spare time and a nice new motor. Fantastic. 2 to 3 day working week. That's a great one, Steve. It really, really is. To actually bring that work week down a bit is a really good goal. Even if you can get down by just a day, it makes such a difference. Just being able to go to like 4 and 3, 4 days on, 3 days off. Yeah, huge difference. Being comfortable, don't worry about money, start following dreams. Full-time trader, yes, my man. Less working and a confident trader being able to help others learn to do it. Yeah, that's what I said last week about actually really progressing in this space is actually getting to a stage where you can start to help others. Such a fulfilling thing to do. It really, really is. It's such a great space to be able to help people like in a relatively short time be able to work towards actually changing their life. Steady income from trading, more confidence with trading, and less working hours. Yeah, fantastic. No, really, really good. Consistently profitable with small risk. Yeah, consistently. I love that word. Yeah, it's takes a minute to get there with that. Like, it was that.
Go to bed.
All right, I'm going to mute you. I think that was Dylan, wasn't it? Sounded Welsh. Right, so this is going to be the big one that I'm probably going to put on this week's homework as well. No, it wasn't you. No worries. It was an iPhone. I don't know which one. What is your biggest trading weakness? Now, this is the one that I was sort of gearing up to for this week. This week's emotion, it's self-awareness. Like that's what we're getting at. Like we can't start trying to help ourselves until we start becoming self-aware. Using a stop loss. Yes, please, Steve. Not using a stop loss. Yeah, revenge trading. Not putting a stop loss on. Oh, you sods. Stuart, great, mate. Great list. Cool. You want to be writing those down every day, overriding the plan with gut instinct. It's funny, isn't it, how we have this sort of gut instinct for something that realistically we have zero control over. But that's a funny one because you can get it right, and obviously to build confidence, you can get it wrong, and it can shoot you back down. Lack of knowledge and confidence, over trading, the hope of it turning. Yeah, so that's hope. That comes very much into what we're talking about today. Fear of failing. Yeah, fear of failing, fear of missing out, just fear in general. Confidence and not holding on long enough. So yeah, there's a few not putting on stop losses. See, they're not putting on stop losses. I don't really see that as being like a okay, yeah, it is a weakness, but again, it kind of goes back to what I said last week about like mechanical errors, realistically. Because all you're doing is just choosing not to put one on. Like you can just put that number in and just put it on. It's not really. I get there is an emotional factor to that, but I feel like that is a bit like not night and day. Like just like when we get to the end of today, the homework is similar, but we want to start focusing on what we're going to be doing in the week. So you're going to be picking one thing. You're going to be picking one of those, your worst weakness, and we're going to cut that out. We're not going to do that this week. We're gonna. So if you've been trading without a stop loss and that's your biggest weakness, that's caused your most problems. You're trading all week with a stop loss. Okay. Um, and basically following the plan, being cocky and upping my lots with no SL. So yeah, over leveraging, over trading, not journaling enough. Well done. Yeah, thanks for saying that one. Yeah, it is the journaling is a superpower. Honestly, guys, any professional trader will tell you how powerful journaling is. When a big move happens, convinced it will retrace. That's perfectly played. Yeah, there's always that like it's got to turn at some point. It's got to turn at some point, isn't it? I hate to break it to you, it doesn't. It doesn't have to. It can do what the fuck it wants. Right, let's get into this week. Well done, guys. And if you want to keep writing those down each day, like just having them in the front of your head as you're sort of going into the day, as you're getting out before you've even taken a trade, just to be aware of them, just to have that little thought. Remember, I was talking about last week about split second decisions. That's all it is. That's all that's sticking in between you and consistency, realistically. And like, I know, yes, people are going to have multiple sort of like weaknesses, but split second decisions is all that's sort of stopping you from sort of starting to make a difference with those. So this week, I'm going to try and keep it a little bit shorter than last week. I think I got a little bit carried away. It was about an hour and 15 minutes long. So we're going to try and keep it between 45 minutes and an hour, but we'll see how it goes. But this week, I want to talk about emotions, controlling them, and realistically becoming self-aware of those emotions. So this is just to let you guys know that everyone suffers with the same problems in one way or another. Some people are going to be better than others in some areas. Some people are going to be better than others in other areas. For example, things like greed. Some people are very thrifty and they will not, like as soon as they see some profit, they're going to take it. As soon as they see some profit, they're going to take it, and that's probably their little superpower. But then they're struggling with fear. Feeling like they have to hit every trade, or all these other sort of things. Whereas another person, greed can get the best of them. They're always moving their take profits, always moving their stop losses. So it's going to be very like I can't change anything for any one of you personally. All I can do is lay everything out on the table, show you it's not just you that suffers from these things, and just give you a sort of a path, because that's where we're kind of working on these 4 weeks, is towards, next week we're going to be looking at risk management and onto sort of discipline, and then the following week is going to be sort of finishing up on discipline and routine. So just going to kind of give you over 4 weeks some really good self-awareness, looking at these things here. So like the market, the things that how the market's designed to catch you out emotionally, the 5 emotional traps, emotional cycle of trading, tools to control emotions, and the sort of thing that a professional trader actually thinks when they're trading. And then next week, like I said, risk management, and then and then kind of like the last week's going to be kind of a putting it all together kind of thing. So these are I would say probably the top 6 emotions that sort of exploit people in the market. Like it says down the bottom there, the market punishes emotional traders. And the more time you will spend in front of the markets, in front of the charts, it will start to become more and more clear to you that the market is there to try and take money from retail traders. The more you start seeing it, the more you can't unsee it. When you start viewing the market as a thing that is doing like exactly that, just trying to take your money and trying to lure people in, and even to the scale of getting people to revenge trade, like literally. And I'm talking about the things like break even trading and stuff. Like obviously part of our trading plan within the gold standard is, once price is pushed in one direction, trading take profit 1, take profit 2. then you're going to be moving your stop loss to break even. Rule number one, protect your capital. But the market knows this, and you'll see it on a lot bigger moves, especially up on on the hour, or even on the 4 hour for swing traders and things like that. But like, price will usually return back to take out these break even traders, to take out that break even mark, and then go in the right direction. I don't think the market really gives a shit about that trade, because obviously it's hoping, that it's assuming that trader has now, we're not talking about one person here, we're talking about thousands of people. It's assuming that, I'm going to take everyone out at break even, go in the right direction, which I was always planning on going in the first place. But now it knows that it's going to have built emotion. It's going to, I mean, what's worse than seeing a trade stop you out and then go in the right direction? It's two massive kicks in the teeth. At least if it stopped you out and didn't go in the right direction, maybe pushed in the right direction, then came back and would have stopped you out anyway. Okay, not too bad. You made the right decision. But realistically, if you get stopped out at break even and then price goes all the way to TP5, that's going to heighten emotion, and that's normal. You're normal. You feel things, and it knows it's doing that. It knows it's doing that. As soon as you can start viewing it like that, it's going to open your eyes up to the bigger picture a lot more. Yeah, it's designed to trigger emotions. You get things like so a lot of entries and stuff. I won't go into entries and technical stuff, but like, you do see on the markets, and it tends to be where we're finding entries is when price spikes in one direction, and usually it's like a liquidity sweep or something like that, and it will spike in one direction. But what is that doing? That is getting the majority of people with no trading plan, that are working on their gut feelings, that have been sat on their hands all day watching price accumulate between two trend lines, between two support and resistance lines, whatever, then seeing price push in one direction to now jumping into that buy. So if we're now pushing up, everyone's jumping in for that buy. It's going to go. What does price do? Turns around, reacts back in the zone, and then heads on down to take the rest of the liquidity that's there. In the process, taking out all of those people, and probably continuing on and taking all those people that aren't putting stop losses on. The small losses convert to small or big losses convert into revenge trading. And then on the other end of it, which is the overconfidence side of things. So that's like, I don't like to say the word winning streak, because it seems a bit like gambling, but it's like, you've got multiple wins in a row, and now that overconfidence comes in, and I think that's a funny one when you're sort of trading signals, because realistically you should be only trading when the signal comes in, and that is the only thing. So just continue to do that. You know what I mean? It's like that overconfidence of people, and then people start thinking like, okay, I've hit a couple of wins here. Now I'm going to up my leverage. I'm going to up my risk because I'm on fire. I'm smashing it today. I can't be beat. And now you end up whipping, half of your profit for the day out in one single trade, just because you got greedy. So the market is designed to get you. Like, that is it, and that's how we try and trade around that. Yeah, I did that. So yeah, fear. This one, fear. Fear pops up most, I think, in FOMO, fear of missing out. This is a big one for people. People don't like the thought of a trade happening and them not being in it, or a trade. And this is where that kind of stop loss, you're moving stop losses, not putting stop losses on. Like, you're entering a trade, and now you don't want to be wrong. You feel like it's going to go in the right direction, but it's just not quite yet. And you think that stop loss might be too tight, and now all of a sudden you doubled your stop loss, tripled your stop loss, and before you know it, you're taking a 4 times your risk loss Or even worse, you'll blow in your account for one fucking trade just because you think, oh, it's got to come back up at some point. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. The fear of missing out, the group is posting consistently now, 8 to 12 to 13 trades a day, and that's just the gold standard. The gold scalping group is posting a lot more. Realistically, like less is always going to be more. Like 10 to 12, 13 trades in a day is plenty. That should be plenty for everyone. And you should be thinking about it because people say like when they get started, they're like, oh, I feel like I've got to hit every trade. Realistically, what is stopping you from if you make some profit in the morning, you hit the first three trades. Like we had a couple of really good days this week, and it was just win after win in the morning, like TP4s, TP5s. What's stopping you just taking that money and leaving it till the next day? That's greed. And then fear of missing out. You're too scared that you're going to miss out on some more winning trades. But realistically, you've got to remember there's going to be losing trades as well. It's a real great thing to try and break your week down into the 5 days. If you've now made 5% profit, if you've made 10% profit in a day, that's fantastic. Because now you can add that to your week. And if you've done that on a Monday, you're already 10% up for the week. Like, think about, what you're going to be doing for the rest of the week, how the rest of your week's going to play out. Realistically, we want to see you make the most money possible and not throw it away. I mean, the fear of missing out stuff, closing a trade early, moving a stop loss, taking trades, yeah, another fear of missing out and fear is taking trades that aren't given. I think this is a really big one with people. And it blows my mind that people do it. And obviously I can't control you not doing it. And realistically, all you're reacting off of is gut feeling. Where are you getting this gut feeling from? Just from your short time of watching the markets. I explained last week, we have the trading plan. The trading plan is there. And if you could understand how long it takes to create a trading plan that works, it's insane. Like it can take years. And I totally understand that we give you that plan and you have to have that little bit of like play around with it. Okay. But realistically, the plan's there for a reason. And it's about trusting it. Trust the plan. You're not, again, I said this last week, you're not a professional trader. You're not a professional trader. I know so many people in the groups that are looking to learn more and they're learning more, they're taking the education seriously, and that's fantastic. Work towards that. But realistically, when you are following trade signals, you follow the signals. I totally understand that people might have their own little way, and that is good. It's a good thing to do. People might have their own little ways of following them. But all I'm saying is stick to that. I was talking to someone this week, and he only enters when price hits the middle of the range. And that's great because he's worked out a little trading plan within the trading plan. He's worked out something that kind of works quite well for him. He sort of just stopped. It's going to be minimizing losses a little bit, and and that works. That works. So if you can keep, some people might want to just move stop losses by an extra 5 or 10 pips just to allow for a bit of spread or whatever, just because they've noticed that they're getting stopped out, but then price is moving in the right direction by a couple of pips. That's cool. Like, I'm cool with that, but just do it consistently. Do it over and over again, So yeah, trusting the plan is always going to be the solution to fear. It's to sort of like to push through and trust that process. Just trusting the process, trusting the plan. Greed is the over trading, the over leveraging, always wanting more. Like we have to sort of dial it back, I think, with greed. Greed goes all the way back to just managing expectations. Just being able to sort of like how you think about money. Start comparing it to how much you earn in a day. Start comparing it to how much you earn in a month. I know people that deal with monthly money figures on a daily basis and they're not taking profits. Which if, and I'm sure they feel the pain of it when they step out of it and they're like, shit, I should have taken that, or I should have done that. I shouldn't, it's a TP4, it's a TP5, and they're not taking it. It's greed. So all it is greed. It's managing expectations. I touched on it last week, but like before I had kids, I used to be a very, very materialistic person. I like the thought of being rich. I like the thought of having a nice car. And it felt like with trading, it's like I could always get more because there was more there. There was more on the table. Oh, the trade could go further. Most of the time it wouldn't, and I would end up worse off for it. And I started having, I would have losses, and I like my wins were becoming way less than my losses. I was having way more losses because I was trying to hold on to trades. I was trying to hold on for more and more and more and more. Um, some of my first early accounts of like the money that I got up to with them to then be back down to virtually zero was insane. Now thinking about it, it's funny how you mature as a person. Um, if you're up into your sort of 35, 40, 50 years old and you think about how you were in your 20s, and when you were in your 20s, you never expected to be that sort of, I don't know, old sod that you might have become. This guy's kind of much more methodical, matured person, can't be asked with going out. Oh, I'm not really interested in a Lamborghini now. I'd rather have a nice house and, not have to go to work so much and be at home with my family. Managing expectations. I started dialing it back to like, hang on, I need to earn X amount to pay for my house, to pay for my bills, to pay for my food, to all these things. And that wasn't a great deal of money in comparison to what I was potentially earning on the charts. So I started dialing that back. And then it was like and then I started taking the profit. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? I was taking the profit. And with taking the profit came me holding on to money. And from success breeds more success. You start having these, like people start overreaching and letting trades go, and they're just not hitting very many. But if you're hitting bang every trade at TP2, TP3, TP4, bang, 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 and now your trade history is just looking blue, and that shit adds up. Like I've seen a lot of your guys, on your good days and your trade histories, they're fantastic. Small amounts of profit, just bang, bang, bang. Because that's what we're doing. We're trading gold, and we're in and we're out the market. Like that is the trading plan. In my opinion, that is the best way out there to trade gold because I just don't think any long swing trades or anything like that. They're just not reliable. I sometimes have a bit of fortune with like longer trades just because I kind of look at where the market's going. But again, when I'm entering with such tiny positions compared to my account size, like ridiculous, like 0.1%. But I'm looking at holding them longer. But again, like I got stopped out this week for I was over £1,000 in profit. No, I don't know. It was about 900. Well, yeah, 900, nearly £1,000 in profit on a trade, and it went all the way back and took me out. But realistically, I'd risk fuck all. I kicked myself a bit because I should have taken it, but shit happens. But that's me trading long trades. That's me going to my trading plan that I've worked with for a long time. I'm looking at the weekly and the monthly. This is 1 minute or 5 minute trading, gold trading, in and out the market. Like the market, you get a lot of money to your pip, and a lot of your money and for your lot size in gold, and that's why it's so great. How quickly gold can move 100, 200, 300 pips compared to like GU, EU, and stuff like that. It's phenomenal. It moves incredibly well like that. To be able to get in and get out multiple times a day and make money that way is a fantastic thing. So, don't let that greed get the best of you in that way because there's always going to be more trades. Yeah, you've got to visualize it for what it is. It's a thing. It's basically a pot of gold to keep taking money out of. Yeah. So with greed, solution is always going to be managing expectations, trying to drive that down a little bit. You know, like being able to take that money regularly, weekly, monthly, over, okay, I might have taken a small loss here today, but I've taken a little bit of profit here the next day. Like your day to day, again, is just like, it's so irrelevant to where you want to be. Like realistically, if you're focusing on the day and what you made in the day, I feel like it goes more towards gambling because you're so up in your emotions when it's day to day. Because you'll just be having such a crazy day of trades, whether it's wins or losses or whatever, and you're not thinking about your week. You know, I like to think of it as like if I can get into profit on a Monday, I'm not a fan of Mondays, to be fair, but if I can get into profit and, you know, I will just leave it. I'll just be like, I'm happy with that. I've taken a couple of trades. I'm a little bit in profit. Let's go on to Tuesday, you know? And I'm looking for the week. I'm looking to see what my figure's going to be at the end of the week, seeing what the market's going to give me, what it's going to let me have, you know? You shouldn't be out there trying to hunt. You should be there trying to follow. You know, you're out there trying to hunt. You're out there trying to be an aggressive trader. You're going to get burnt. You're going to get burnt. You're trading without a stop loss. You're going to get burnt. You know, blowing your account from not having a stop loss should just not be a thing. Like that level of risk is insane to me now. Like it really, really is. It is like pure insanity to me. Like if you're wanting to make a go of this and to be consistent, not having a stop loss is batty. Yeah, understanding greed destroys accounts in that for that reason. You know, again, moving the stop losses, moving take profits, like you're going to come unstuck. Hope as well. I didn't actually write any notes down for hope, but hope is a funny one because I don't know, understand what people like, how it kind of comes into it because like you're just hoping on something that gives absolutely fuck all of like doesn't gives no care about you whatsoever. You know, the market does not care. You are literally hoping on a wing and a prayer that, you know, price is going to go in the right direction. And you've got there's no like, you're not going to be able to manifest that. You're not going to be able to change that. It's just going, the price is going where it's going to go. You're basically tossing a coin, you know? We shouldn't be having hope. We should be sticking to a plan and thinking methodically every single time. Let's moving on to revenge trading. And, you know, it's kind of like, so with this is in that, so this is in our top five, the five emotional traps. So, you know, the first one was fear, FOMO, second one's greed, third one is going to be revenge trading, you know. And again, it's a weird one, realistically, when you think about it, because when you start talking about revenge, you're talking about getting revenge on the market. Just like I said a minute ago, the market doesn't give a fuck. It does not care. It's glad it took your money. It feels no remorse. Even if you get your revenge, it's not going to notice. It's not. It's purely you that's trying to get revenge on a entity that does not care. It's completely void of any feeling towards you. You know, that kind of attitude of like, I'll win it back quickly. You know, you hit a stop loss, you jump into a trade that's not there, over leveraged, over traded, and you're back to hope. You're back to hoping price goes the right way. And the worst thing about it is, say you take a loss from, say you've got £100 profit in your account. You now take a loss, and that loss is £20. Now this is just scaled down, but now you over leverage in. So now say you go and double your risk, because now I want to make that £20 back. I want to get back to that dopamine level where that emotion, where I felt good, where I felt happy. You know, that £100 I had for the day, I stupidly did something stupid and I lost 20. But now you go and over leverage. Okay, say price now starts going in the right direction, and now you're back up at that 100. Do you close it? Probably not. Because you think, oh, price is going in the right direction now. It's going in the right direction. Like I can get some profit as well. Amazing, amazing, sweet. I'm going to be up even more than that for the day. And then what happens? Price turns around and goes back the other way. Now you've just doubled your loss. So now you're down to £40 and you were at 100, scale that up to 1,000, 10,000. And yeah, you can see how quickly people can not only just lose their day's profit, but start to really, really destroy an account. Exactly what I've done this week multiple times. Yeah, I know. I feel you. Honestly, I feel you. I feel you. And the thing with revenge trading is I mean, the reality is revenge trading is just gambling. That's the reality of it. You're just gambling. You might as well go to a casino. Because if you're jumping in after a loss very quickly, heightened emotion, what do you think gambling does to someone when you're in a casino and you're playing on a blackjack table or a roulette table? Emotion. I want to win. I want to win. I don't want to lose. Losing is going to make me upset. Winning is going to make me happy. Like, that is so emotion bound. Like, you have zero control. And that's not where we want to be. We don't want to be there at all. This wants to be boring. You want to be executing over and over again. Coming away. Because realistically, a good way to think of it with revenge trading is, okay, you've made the loss in the first place. Now the revenge trade is going to be when you jump back in. Consider that when you jump back in, the potential first step to falling all the way back down the spiral staircase. You spent all that time in the day walking up those stairs. Yeah, okay, you might have to take a step back to go forward. But realistically, if you're now taking a trade that hasn't been sent very quickly after another trade, consider that to be the trade that could send you right the way back down the stairs. Again, it's just that split-second decision. It's just being able to recognize that you're about to do it. It's the only way I can put it into sort of words like that, is because that's how I started to change it, was self-awareness, becoming aware of that problem that I had. Because I used to do the same. Now it seems like such a distant memory because I don't think like that at all. But I had to train myself to do that. Just to, like, that word, revenge. I had it explained to me, like I've just explained to you, that, like, the market don't give a shit, blah, blah, blah. And I started stopping myself. It didn't happen straight away. Again, these aren't overnight solutions. They're going to take work. They're going to take you a minute of doing the same thing over and over again. But it starts to be a really good feeling when you step in front of yourself and you take your hands away and say, no, I'm not, like, I lost. I'm happy with that. Not happy with it, but I'll deal with it. You know what I mean? And that it becomes the superpower. That becomes what the professional traders do. That becomes what the people that do very well doing this do. They walk away from a loss and they'll just sit on their hands and wait for the next trade to come in. And they'll wait. And like, if that's come towards the evening and your last trade was a loss, and now, like, it's probably not going to be more trades. It's very easy for people to just think, like, oh, I'm just looking at price action. Oh, it looks like it can go up. It looks like it could go down. Just drop back and just try and get that loss back. Bang. Taken out again. And that starts setting you up bad for the next day. Again. And you start kicking yourself over and over and over again. Kicking yourself. But, like, just getting that momentum and actually starting to actually feel proud that you've actually made steps, like, and being able to sort of notice that, like, just before you click that buy or sell, just after a loss, and you stop yourself, and then you watch price fucking continue to motor on down or up or whatever the way is opposite to what you were about to do. And you think, fuck, I'm so glad I didn't do that. And that gets powerful. That gets really bad. People start seeing the success. And I was talked about it a bit last week, but just actually starting to see the success, actually being like, hang on a minute, these, that shit that Leon said to me, like, fuck, it actually works, And again, it's different to every person. It's not going to be an overnight thing. But, on the back end of this Zoom today, like, I want to start implementing at least one thing that you're going to stop doing this week. Okay. And again, I don't expect that you will be able to do it 100%. I completely expect a wobble or two, but I'm assuming that's going to be a shit ton better than what you did last week or the week before. If we can fixate on one thing, start controlling that, start seeing some benefit from that, you start to see things start to change quite relatively quickly. Um, you know, a solution to revenge trading is just walking away. I had a friend that he used to do it in both ways. He would just delete MetaTrader. So if he had a loss or two or whatever, or had a bit of a shit day, or knew he was going to revenge trade, he'd delete MetaTrader. Delete it. Literally delete it off of his iPhone. Delete it off of or whatever phone he had. Just delete the app. Because realistically, you can download it again. You can sign back into your account, right? So he would just start deleting. So if he made profit, if he made whatever percentages, 5, 10% in a day, he just delete the app. It stops that muscle memory of when you pick up your phone to the first thing you do, clicking on MetaTrader. Realistically, you think about it, it's a good idea. I know I think there's apps out there, isn't there, that can actually stop you clicking on things and things like that. I haven't really explored it, but again, like if there is stuff like that, utilize it. Yeah, cool. No revenge again. don't say never again because it happens. The goal right now is to start doing it less and out. I can't say to someone just stop doing that clean because I don't know. I don't know. Everyone's got different levels of discipline, and we're going to work towards discipline. But yeah, everyone's going to be a bit different on that side of things. Whether you can just switch it off or whether you're going to have the wobbles. You're going to have moments where you're going to falter and you're going to kick yourself for it. But eventually you're going to stop kicking yourself for it because it's going to be gone and you're not going to do it anymore. You're not going to do that stupid shit, you know? And don't get me wrong, I still do have it. Like I still do have it. I wouldn't say revenge trading so much. I'm very good at being able to take my losses. But I don't know, I don't know. Silly little thing. I still have gut reactions sometimes, but then I can kind of maybe justify it. I've been looking at the charts for 10 years, and I'm quite married to certain pairs, so I can maybe justify that a little bit. But I still do that, and I still have days where I wish I didn't, but I manage it and I deal with it, and I don't let it mess up the rest of my week. I don't let it mess up the rest of my month. I just switch that off and I go on to the next day. If I had the loss, I had the loss. I still have losing weeks. I have the odd losing month. I just try and keep those losses as small as I can. Smashing my phone to stop me trading. Well, yeah, that's one way to do it, but it's gonna get expensive, isn't it? So yeah. But yeah, being able to walk away, whatever way you can choose to do it, just being able to like losses happen, okay? Like, and as well, if you're in profit, like you're in profit for the day, and you take a loss, and then you're like, okay, because you've got to remember that it's always going to change your emotion. You've gone from a high to now not so high. Now, like, I don't trust myself after that one loss. And if you're now in that place where you don't trust yourself, walk away. Walk away. Leave it for the rest of the day. Go to bed. Start training again the next day. The whole overnight thing, sleep thing, it's not a fucking factory reset, but it helps. It's not like, I always used to talk about it as in like, yeah, wait till tomorrow. But realistically, when I was talking about taking my own trades and stuff, there might not be a setup tomorrow, but you're going to get trades tomorrow and you're going to get trades the day after that. So realistically, if you're in profit majority, you've taken a loss, it's changed how you're feeling towards the markets now. To learn to walk away from that. You've made the profit, had a loss, go to the next day. Start building up that week. What's that week profit going to look like? Yeah, it puts you back in charge. Something I really wanted to get at was putting you in control. I mean, realistically, you think about all these little decisions that we make that feel like they're completely out of our control. Just even like moving take profits, not entering where we should, moving stop losses, not putting stop loss on. Like, realistically, we're just being weak. and we're just letting the market just pull our pants down, basically. You know, you've got to find an area where you can be in charge. You can be the one that makes the decision. I'm making that decision to walk away. I've made that decision to put my stop loss, my take profit, my entry within the range, like I've been told, and I'm making that decision, and I'm not moving things until I see this reaction. Then I'm moving my stops to break even, and that's it. Now I'm done. You know, that trade can do what it wants. It can stop me out, or it can go to TP4. I don't care because I've done everything I'm supposed to do. That's the powerful thing. That's you in charge. That's you doing exactly what you're supposed to do. You do that over and over and over again, and don't falter. Things change. Money starts to flow. Yeah, because again, realistically, it's just you and yourself is the battle. It's not you and the market; it's you and yourself. Overconfidence is the number 5 emotional trap that I was going to talk about, and overconfidence, like I find it just as bad. I like I kind of called it, I affectionately called it like God mode for years, where you just think like I fucking cracked it. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm smashing it. And you've got to remember, even with the most perfect setup, you like everything, every confirmation can be right there. You know, for when we're following signals, price could just hover there perfectly. And it could, and you could get the trade on, you could layer in a few positions, get your stop loss on, get your take profits in position. Price starts pushing up in the right direction. You think this is fucking great, perfect, and then bang, takes them all out. You know, the market can move however the market wants to move. You know, I've had, again, like if you're looking for your own trades and you've learned to do stuff like that, you've got to, it's a really big wall to get over to actually just understand that the market can do what it wants. It could just turn at any time. You can have the most perfect setup, all your confirmations, everything's lined. It looks like the planets have just aligned themselves for you, and probably still go the other way because that's just what the market does. But I've given myself the best probability to make some money in that situation. It's exactly the same with the trades that are sent. You know, you've layered in your position within the range. You set the take profit, stop loss first, and then you're looking at setting your take profit. You've done everything you needed to do, and that's a win. That is a win, no matter what, no matter which way the trade goes. You know, all you've got to do now is after, you know, however anyone trades, like whether it's in the scalping group, gold trading community, gold standard, whatever, like you're following that stuff. So follow it. Mute anything else and just follow it. Do the same thing over and over again. But yeah, overconfidence, the market will punish an ego big time. There's no place for an ego at all within trading. It will just, yeah, it'll catch you over and over again. Yeah, egos have no place. Like like if you're listening to someone and they're talking about just utter drivel with like wins and blah 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 and 100% win rates and shit like that, fuck off. It's a load of bollocks. You know, everyone's going to have losses. It's just how you deal with them. And I find that much more of a superpower to actually, be honest with yourself, talk about your losses, manage your losses. Never ever get overconfident. I've been doing this 10 years and I still would never say I've cracked it. I have to be on the ball all the time, and I have losing weeks. It happens. But yeah, it's overconfidence. I find overconfidence is worse than the losses for me. I feel like people can lose more being overconfident because that's when they start smashing an account. Who's a daddy? Moving on to, hang on, what are we going to do? So yeah, and obviously patience, I suppose, is the other one I haven't mentioned, but like patience is huge anyway. Patience, when you're following trades, when you're following signals, then it kind of like, it's kind of there for you. If you're looking for your own trades, like patience, I feel like comes into it a lot more. But if you're following the signals, it kind of goes back to being like a mechanical problem. Just wait. It's not like you're having to be vigilant and look for the trades on the chart. You're just having to wait for the trades to come to you. And that's how it is if you're looking for your own trades anyway. You just need to wait for them to show themselves. But The easier way is following, decent signals and just waiting. You're just waiting for the next. Like if you're being impatient and you're taking trades that aren't there or that haven't been sent, again, just a mechanical error. You're just being daft, basically. Because trading is 90% waiting and 10% execution. So just wait. Just wait. Just wait. Just wait. So this is the emotional cycle of trading, which I'm sure everyone can relate to. So why is one and two the wrong way around? Oh, for fuck's sake. Sorry, this is my chat GPT brilliance. Okay, change these round. Well, no, actually, I mean that should just be one, to be fair. So early wins. So this is so what we're talking about here is being able to visualize the cycle you're in. If you're making the same mistakes over and over again, same problem, realistically, you're doing this. You're going around in circles. You're just doing the same thing on repeat. It's the sign of madness, isn't it? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. It's not going to happen. We have those wins. We get excited, which leads to overconfidence, which leads to a big loss, leads to frustration, leads to blowing an account. And then we get back in the game. We have early wins. We have excitement. We have overconfidence. We have a big loss. We have frustration. We have a blown account. It doesn't have to be a blown account, just big loss. Just like a decent fucking amount that makes you think, fuck, why did I do that? And what we need to do, guys, is break that cycle. And what do we break that cycle with? Three things: discipline, risk management, and a routine. And guess what we're looking at next week? So yeah, that like I'm sure you can all relate to that. I'm sure you can all relate to that. We've all been there. But this is where we're going to start thinking about, that risk management. Just think about that for a minute. Just think about that. How much are we, the sort of tools that we need to control emotion? What's in our toolbox to sort of break this cycle and going into discipline, risk management, and routine? Things like fixed risk, which is going to be your risk management. Sticking to whatever your risk is, whether it's, when people are starting up with like a £400 account, I'm sort of telling them to sort of like, you want to get fluent enough to be opening like 4 0.01 positions for a trade and aiming for TP2, TP3, TP4, TP5. That's the kind of thing that I'm like looking at. But if you're doing that, you're roughly risking about £20, which is going to be about 5% of your account, which, to be honest, on a smaller account is quite a lot. Like, it almost gets me a bit of a sort of frog in my throat saying 5% risk. And you guys might think, well, it doesn't seem like much at all. But again, now turn that into a £10,000 account, £100,000 account. £100,000 account, am I going to be risking £5 per trade? No. I'm going to be risking 500 quid, which is 0.5%, in the hope of making 1,000, 2,000 per trade, So yes, on a smaller account, okay, you can kind of like, just to try and get the numbers a little bit working and start compounding that account. But 5% should be the fucking maximum, and that's one of the first tools in our toolbox at breaking this cycle. Is fixed risk, no questions, fixed risk. It could be, if you said maximum 5%, cool, maximum 5%. I could risk 4%, 3%, 2%, 1%. I've fixed my risk. I am always below 5%, no matter what, The other one is, when I say trading less, I mean not taking your own trades, not fucking over trading, taking fucking hundreds of trades a day just because of gut feelings and things like that. This needs to be a tool that's in our tool chest, is being able to confidently take the trades, stick to them, and nothing else. Less is more. Less is more. We're giving you 8 to 12, 13 trades a day. Should be plenty. Should be plenty. And you've got multiple positions to open in one of those trades. You've got multiple take profits to hit. So again, that's another tool that's in our tool chest. The other tool is like a pre-trade checklist. This was like, so you always used to go on about it. It's like pre-flight checks. And I don't think people do this enough. People don't actually look into it enough, but it's something when you're journaling, you want to be writing down how am I feeling today? That should be the first thing. Am I emotionally trading? Am I going into the next trade emotional? Again, now we want to think about stepping back, you know, deleting that app, whatever. Like, fucking throwing your phone away, whatever. Like just walking away, breaking that cycle. Are you tired? Are you emotional? These are simple little checks that if you can lock in with yourself and ask yourself, you can avoid some pretty shit days. Really, really can. Walking away after losses, again, a very, very powerful tool that's in our chest to get out of this cycle. And focus on progress, not money. Focus on that progress, that weekly progress, that monthly progress. Like, what's my month looking like? How am I getting? How many? How so what? I've had a winning week. I've had a losing week. I'm halfway through the month. What's my month looking like? Realistically, you probably would be up with a winning week and a losing week. Realistically, you should be. What's my month looking like? Focus on your progress. Focus on these little things that we're going through. Focus on journaling. Focus on where I was fucking a couple of months ago, a month ago, a week ago. Progress. Focus on progress. Focus on progress, and the money will follow you. I suppose quickly just back to this one, the professional trader mindset. Just in sort of like ways that people think, like when I was saying about, rule number one should always be protect your capital, protect the money that is in your account. That's rule number one over anything. Rule number two is make profit, make money. But that begs to the question of like how an amateur and a professional think. An amateur is going to think, how much money can I make on this trade? How much money can I make? And a professional trader is thinking about how much can I lose? Protecting that loss, protecting that capital. Start trying to think about rewiring your brain to sort of come back and think about what you could potentially lose. So you start thinking about risk management, thinking about your emotion, and again, the wins follow that. Focus on probability, consistency, and discipline. Those three things. They all sort of fall into one another. Discipline. Like, it's my favorite word in trading. Easier said than done with so much stuff, but realistically, discipline is what is going to get you to all these places. Discipline is going to get you through all of these. It's going to help you. It's going to get you through all of those traps. It's going to break that cycle. Just being able to be disciplined with all these little things we're talking about. And trading, it should be boring. Again, have a word with yourself. If you're there buzzing in the day, because it's just trade after trade after trade after trade, and you're jumping in this, you're jumping in that, you're doing whatever, whenever, total disregard, and your adrenaline, your cortisol is through the roof. You're not doing it right. Like, you're not doing it right. And then as well, on the flip side of it, if you're eating losses and it hurts and it burns and it's horrible, it can bring you to tears, you're doing it wrong. It shouldn't be like that. We should be looking at bigger wins and small losses. The losses shouldn't hurt. The losses we should be able to shrug off and just continue on. And the wins we should be able to just take, add to our percentage, add to our daily percentage, add to what where we're at for the day, and go on and continue on and take the next trade, take the next trade, take the next trade. So I said I was trying to make this shorter, but we're already an hour. Well done for sticking around. So next week, homework for next week. We're kind of following on from last week. So just 3 questions. I'd really appreciate you guys if you keep going with what we were of the homework last week. If you want to be like, get a notepad, buy yourself a new notepad, have it as your trading journal, even a diary. A diary is even better because it's daily. And let's just have that on our desk, have that with you in your work van, have that wherever. And before you start trading, it's like that manifesting. You just want to be just writing down these things. And all of a sudden your sort of weaknesses list is going to start changing. You'll be like, know what? I'm actually starting to, because if you put it to the forefront of your brain, you're going to start acting on it more, even before that first trade comes out. It's a bit of like a subconscious thing. It's playing with your subconscious. We're trying to rewire things the way our brain's been for a very, very long time. So this week, number one, we're going to write down your biggest weakness again every day. So your biggest emotional weakness, and that's the one we're going to tackle. That's the one we're going to tackle. So we're going to read that every single day. If you were the guys that was saying I don't put a stop loss on or whatever, that's what you're tackling this week. You know, you're going to put a stop loss on every single trade, every single time, and you're going to have something within your own trading plan where you're moving a stop to break even or whatever. The mistake you repeat the most, again, that probably tend to be 1 and 2 probably tend to be the same thing, but again, we're getting that to the forefront of our brain here. Number 3, the one rule you're going to follow next week. So that's going to follow on from question 1 and question 2. So think about that tonight. Think about that one thing. You know, that list. We can scroll back up in the chat for everything that you guys wrote for, you know, not using stop loss, revenge trading, not putting a stop loss on, lack of confidence, over trading, hope of it turning, fear of failing. You know, that's the one rule that you're going to be working on this week. And I don't even want you to really think about the other ones. Let's just focus on one. Focus on one for the week. And like, where did I have it? I'm trying to think of the example. There was an example that Mark Douglas did, who read Trading in the Zone. And I can't remember it now. I think it's on YouTube somewhere, where he got a trader, or I can't remember how he was doing it now. I watched the video ages ago, but it was basically like about following a trading plan just religiously, no matter what. Take everything else out of it. Just follow the trading plan. Like do it. Like that's the concentration. That's the thing to write down. Did I follow my trading plan or did I not? Like take the money out of it. The wins, the losses doesn't matter. Did I follow the trades? Exactly. Did I do the best I possibly could? Or was I a fucking knob again? You know? Did I think I knew better? I used to do this. It can be seen as a form of oh, hang on. Little hack I found is working for me is taking profit out if a day is going well. I take my account balance back down to X, stops me putting the lot size up, and yeah, fantastic way of doing it. Like I know people when I do it myself where I have a larger account and I have a smaller account that I trade with just because the figures are smaller and I don't feel like I've got everything at risk and stuff like that. And it is a great way to do it. You know, you could sit there with £1,000 account and now, you know, the profit you make in that day, just withdraw it at the end of the day. Go back to that 1,000. Yes, you're probably gonna have days where you're gonna have losses and you're gonna go down, but realistically, you can go on to the next day and look at building that account back up to that 1,000. You know, start treating your 1,000 as like, you know, as whatever, as like an even smaller figure if you want, and take your profit out at the end of the day. It's really good. It's really good. I used to do this. It can be seen as a form of self-sabotage. You will never grow your account, although it worked for me too. Yeah, I mean, self-sabotage comes into it massively. You know, that whole like, I don't deserve this money. I haven't earned it. Like, and just all of these things where it's like, I don't feel like I deserve it. All these subconscious self-sabotage things where you get so close to something and you just destroy it, or you go into like full bore destruction mode. It's like, fuck it, I don't care. It's like you might as well just chuck it all on red. Like it doesn't even matter. But like, yeah, that's what I done. Transferred over to another account, my profit. Yeah. Again, like these are great little things, guys. If you can be working on them, sharing it with other people, because sometimes people just haven't even thought of that stuff. And again, that is a really great little way of doing things. Is just moving profit to another account or taking out some daily profit or whatever. It doesn't have to be all of it. Could be all of it. Whatever. Find these little things that work that you start finding consistency with. You know, like me and Jay, we're here to help. Like any things like that, any things. But like if you've got things that are working well with you, share them because they might work with someone else. As people might say, oh, yeah, nah, I wouldn't be very good at it. But then sometimes it's just ego getting in the way. That's all it is. But anyway, we'll leave it there, guys. Thanks for jumping on Sunday again. Next week, we're going to be talking about risk management. So risk management, then I think we've got enough stuff then to start going into discipline and actually building that kind of routine and yeah, going on from there, basically. So yeah, hope everyone has a good week. Start applying yourself, lock in, and let's get that one rule. Let's get it down. Let's get it down this week, and I'm looking forward to hearing all about it next week. So have a great week, guys. Take care.